So what spurs an investigation? I'm sorry to be so technical. In the next part, we'll talk about where we're going. What spurs an investigation? Complaints?
Anything can spur an investigation. Right. Any evidence.
You know, nothing gets me more than people who sit around and, first of all, they're nobodies. They're absolutely nobodies.
It's a news report.
I think frequently it is a news report, right? We read about journalists are very good at their jobs. We appreciate the free press and the work that it does, and it often brings to light things that we otherwise wouldn't know.
But yet they get on YouTube, do whatever they have to do, tell whatever lies and manipulations and whatever, all these different things that they have to do to get all these different people to follow after them.
But I think we need to be equally concerned about under-enforcement.
And now, all of a sudden now, you know, because of a troll or a follower or some dumb person that can't count past 10, only time they can count past 10 is when they're giving you a $20 cash out. And now all of a sudden you're somebody.
And with the responsibility that we have, sort of uniquely as you point out in the federal government, we need to be as creative and strategic and aggressive as we can within our limited resources and within our 105-year-old statute.
Yeah, my feeling, you know, and I went back and looked before this interview about articles I did 10 years ago about Google when they were trying to take over Yahoo search.
Sometimes it brings to light things we already do know, either because someone has come to us with a complaint, a company, a customer, state attorneys general sometimes know things and share information with us, or because the company itself is required, a company that's under order is required to provide us information, and sometimes they come to us in the first instance and says, this problem has come up. That whether users' data would be shared with third party apps that operated on the Facebook site.
Right, that was about then.
No, that's in the second order.
And then you use your platform to come after a fellow content creator. 18 months straight. Relentless. You name it, y'all have done it.
But I think we need to be equally concerned about under-enforcement. And with the responsibility that we have, sort of uniquely as you point out in the federal government, we need to be as creative and strategic and aggressive as we can within our limited resources and within our 105-year-old statute.
Yeah, my feeling, you know, and I went back and looked before this interview about articles I did 10 years ago about Google when they were trying to take over Yahoo search. And at the time, I think the FTC did stop it in some way. There was no official ruling, I think. It just was like, it wasn't going to fly, essentially. But it was so egregious, I was sort of shocked. I just was sort of flummoxed why the FTC continually you know, took a dive on these companies as they were getting big. And I think one of them was that we can't regulate this industry. We can't do anything about it because we need it to grow. We need it to be the biggest. We are the biggest. We need to create these big companies, which has resulted in, you know, it's sort of like giving kids sugar all the time. You've got very twitchy children and who are very unhealthy. Now, if that's a mommy thing, okay, so be it. But so when you're talking about that idea, there was under enforcement for sure. I think that's, or no, none. I think not under, but very little. I can't think of an FTC action against a tech company. I mean, maybe I'm being like of any significance.
Well, I think it's hard to think of mergers that were blocked, right? We all come to mind the mergers that were approved. And there have been various consumer protection orders that went into place, like the original Facebook order. But the concern is, did those actually change things, right? So, and what do we do to actually make sure companies change their behavior? So
all in my comments, sending me emails, calling me all kind of this and that, the other. You know, I guess so that y'all can continue making money off of dead people, off of murdered people, off of killed people, off of shot people. You know, any kind of tragedy is an opportunity for you to make some money, for you to get on here and put on a show and make money.
Let's start with that consent decree that happened
2011.
2011. I covered that. I didn't think they'd follow it. I know most people didn't think they'd follow it, and they thought they got off. I think at the time they thought they got off. So talk about that consent decree, just so you can explain for people who don't follow every twist and turn of
Minutia of FTC law. So in 2011, and maybe it was early 2012 when it went into effect, the FTC had investigated Facebook for sharing its users' information beyond the permissions that the users had given.
I think it was related to Beacon, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't remember that word in particular, but that was the general idea. Sharing information that they told users they would keep private. And to settle that investigation and those allegations, Facebook entered into an agreement called a consent decree or a consent order with the FTC, under which it promised we will not do this again, and we will specifically not misrepresent how consumers' data is being used.
And then on top of it, get on your platform, even to this day, as current as yesterday, talking about the haters. The haters, they're jealous. Jealous because y'all sit around and make money off of people's death.
But it was so egregious, I was sort of shocked.
Oh, really? And I'm jealous of that. I'm a hater because you're reduced to that. I'll give you that. But you know what? This isn't about a click, a view, and a sub for me. These channels are no longer a hobby for me. I have a new hobby now. If YouTube take down every channel I have on here, it's not going to stop my new hobby. I have a new hobby now. You know, y'all wanted me off of YouTube, right? And I mean, wasn't that the goal? To shut me up and get me off of YouTube? I'll even give you that. You have that now. But you know what? I have a new hobby. And it ain't about a click, it ain't about a view, and it ain't about a sub. Y'all been messing with the right one for the last 18 months, you know. I tried to tell y'all, leave me alone. You couldn't do it. Month after month after month. And I guess, you know, you feel validated because you got all these minions that you're directing to do all your dirty work for you. Well, you know what? It don't take but one of me.
There was under enforcement for sure. I think none.